Hi, here is my Chapter 6 recap of To Kill a Mockingbird. In this version, background noise compliments of my child, again. Alright, so Chapter 6 starts off with Dill's last day in Maycomb. Remember, he's only there for the summer. And he and Jim have contrived this plan to go see Boo Radley and sneak over to the Radley's house and peek in. And Scout ends up going with them. In fact, on page 68, you know Scout knows it's not the right thing to do, but she feels pressured into it. And I think I just love it when Jim mocks her and he calls her Angel May on page 68. And Scout's kind of like, you don't have to go, Jim, remember? And she gets cut off, but she wants to remind him that Atticus told them to leave Boo alone. But Dill, who remember is a pocket Merlin, obviously has all of these eccentric ideas, and he wants to go see Boo Radley on his last day in Maycomb. And so this is where they sneak over to the Radleys, and they hear a gunshot, and then they're running to get away, and they escape by a fence in the schoolyard, but Jim's pants get caught in the fence, and then he has to take them off to escape. Awkward. So anyways, what happens after that? Well, the whole neighborhood gathers around because they're like, oh my God, we heard a gunshot. And then the children, they go home and they see everybody gathered around, and such as like Miss Maudie and Atticus and Miss Stephanie Crawford, you know, the town gossip. She's going to be all up in this. And then they say Nathan Radley shot at a Negro. And so Atticus looks down at Jim and he says, this is on page 73, he said, where are your pants, son? Pants, sir? Pants. It was no use. In his shorts before God and everybody. I sighed. Ah, Mr. Finch. In the glare from the streetlight, I could see Dill hatching one, talking about hatching a lie, because he's so good at it. His eyes widened, his fat cherub face grew rounder. What is it, Dill? Asked Atticus. I won 'em from him, he said vaguely. Won 'em? How? Dill's hand sought the back of his head. He brought it up forward across his forehead. We were playing strip poker up yonder by the fish pool, he said. Jim and I relaxed. He said. The neighbors seemed satisfied. They all stiffened. But what was strip poker? All right, so first off, Dill says strip poker. The neighbors stiffen, and then Scout's like, yeah, that was a good lie. But what is strip poker? Scout has no idea, so she doesn't know. But anyways, let's take the idea of gambling and talk about it for a second, because during this time, gambling was such a sin. It was not good. It was not as common as it is now. People did it behind closed doors, and here, for the kids to admit it, they were like, well, what were you gambling? And they said matches, you know, nothing big. So the fact that they're willing to, you know, or Dill is willing to come up with that kind of lie and instead of saying, oh, well, we were at the Radley's house trying to peek in and see who was there. It really just kind of underscores how much trouble they would have gotten into if they had actually been in the Radley yard. And so I just find this scene very comical, especially when Scout, she's like, yeah, but what is that? Moving on to the end of chapter 6. So Jim and Scout are going to bed, and they're sleeping on the back porch because it's a hot summer day. So they have their little cots set up, and Jim's going to get his pants. And he comes back. Well, first off, Scout, she's kind of worried about him going to get his pants. She's very fearful of it. And just because she's afraid he's going to get shot at, or he's going to get shot. And he comes back, and this is at the bottom of page 76 in the very last page of chapter 6. And Scout says, there he was, running to me. So Jim is returning. His white shirt bobbed over the back fence and slowly grew larger. He came up the back steps, latched the door behind him, and sat on his cot. Wordlessly, he held up his pants. He lay down, and for a while I heard his cot trembling. Soon he was still. I did not hear him stir again. And so it's very poetic for Scout to say, I heard his cot trembling, because we don't usually think about hearing a tremble. We usually see a tremble when somebody's shaking, but she can physically hear his cot like trembling around. And so something has upset Jim, because we know his cot is trembling, but he doesn't tell Scout what it is. And then when chapter 7 starts, we're going to find out that he tries to tell Scout, but he hesitates, and then he kind of pulls away for a second. So it's almost like he doesn't know if Scout's actually going to understand why he was so scared. So that recaps chapter 6. If you have any questions, let me know.